Hey everyone, back again with another video. And today I wanted to talk about an interesting question I heard come up on a podcast I was listening to. This podcast is doing a Q&A episode, and someone had written in and asked a question. If you're a parent with two young kids, you have a full-time desk job, and all the responsibilities that go along with being part of a family and the young kids and working a sedentary job and all that stuff. How do you find, how do you get in all of the physical activity that you're supposed to get in on a daily and weekly basis? And that includes things, they mentioned things like doing a couple strength training sessions, doing some cardio, getting in your steps, and the basic and what we really consider necessary stuff if you want to be healthy. And the podcast host gave a fine answer to that question, but I thought it was an interesting question. It's something that I was interested in talking more about because I am in that demographic. I have two young kids. My son is 8 currently, and my daughter is 11. And I have all the responsibilities that go along with being a dad and a husband, right? Wanting to spend time with my family and my wife, the kids' activities and family obligations and all that stuff. And I have all of that same stuff. Right? I don't outsource any of that stuff. That's all stuff that I do. And then I also have a full-time job that is at a desk. I am a software engineer. So my full-time job, my job is literally to sit at a computer and write code. And that's what I do. As part of that job, I have most days a 2-hour commute to get to and from that job. So I sit in a car to drive as well. And I also have a part-time job as a health coach. And so I really am the demographic that the person had written in about. It was asking how do they fit in all of that stuff that we know is important, the strength training and daily steps and cardio, and how do you find time for that stuff? So I thought it'd be interesting to tell you how I find time with that stuff, how I do it, because I do a fairly good job about meeting all the physical activity recommendations on a weekly basis. I find time to compete in activities that require me to be physically active and training for and stuff like that as well. This is how I go about doing it. And I'm not saying it's the only way to do it or it's the right way to do it or anything like that, but this is how I do it. I think the one way I describe this, how I make all of this possible, is with intention and planning, right? I don't by any means fly by the seat of my pants when I do stuff. I've talked many times about how my days are very structured and planned out and scheduled. And I can understand how that sounds incredibly boring. It takes the fun out of life, etc. Me personally, I enjoy it. And that's my personality, but I can also understand how having to schedule every single day of your week and having a routine and all that fun stuff really sounds unappealing to a lot of people. But frankly, I don't really see any other way around living a healthy lifestyle at this stage of life without being intentional and planning it out. So I start my day. The first thing I schedule is bedtime and wake time, right? Because then everything's going to build out around that. And I go to bed anywhere between 8:30 at night and 9 o'clock at night. That's when I go to bed. That's because I need to get up and get my workout in before I bring the kids to school. I make their lunches and I drive into the office. So I get up at 5:10. That's when my alarm goes off. Those 10 extra minutes make all the difference. So I get up at 5:10, and it gives me about an hour and a half or so to get a workout in before I need to go upstairs and start putting together kids' lunches, getting my stuff ready, taking a shower, and then getting my son off to school. So at 5 o'clock, I have about 5:10, I have about an hour and a half or so to get in a workout. And so that workout is either going to be a cardio workout or a strength training workout. And that happens Monday through Friday. And to be honest with you, most Saturdays, I'm also getting up at 5:10 because Saturdays, sometimes we have kids' activities early in the morning, 9 o'clock or whatever. So it's just like getting them off to school. I got to get up early, get my workout in before the Saturday gets away from me. Sometimes, if after my workout is done, I will get in some cardio after that. I'll walk on the treadmill, get on the rower, ride my bike, get on the ski erg, whatever, depending on how long the actual workout takes. So I always get in my workout first, and then if I have some time between the time my workout ends and the time I need to go upstairs, start getting ready, I'll get in some extra kind of quote unquote cardio / steps. That's how the day starts. At 6:45, I head upstairs. I get together my son's lunch. I get together my lunch. I make my coffee. Then at 7 o'clock, I head upstairs from there. I take a shower, get dressed. And then around 7:20 or so, I'm getting my son in the car. I'm getting in the car and we're going to drop him off at school. And then from about, let's say 7:35 to about 8:35, I'm driving into work. And then I work. And then during the workday, I'm trying to get in the rest of my steps. So like I'm doing right now, recording this video, I'm walking around a track that's right by my office, and I'm getting in steps. Good. So I'll do this a couple times a day. And so before I'm commuting home, I have my about 10,000 steps in. So if I walks, I'll take maybe 2 or 3 20-minute breaks to go take a walk during the day. Get up from the desk, that type of, and then in combination with just getting up to go to the bathroom or to get water or to get some more coffee or whatever from my desk while I'm working. I'm at most days over 10,000 steps by the time I leave work and then drive home. Get home, do dinner, maybe have a little bit of time after dinner, like 30, 45 minutes or so, watch TV with the kids, that type of stuff, get the kids to bed. And then soon after they go to bed, if I watch a little TV, maybe do a little bit of work, and then I'm in bed about 8:30. And so that's the routine that I follow. The workouts, like I said, I work out 6 days a week. I'm not saying you need to work out 6 days a week. I do, but it's not necessary, especially if you're just talking about general health. I'm getting in at least 4 strength training workouts during the week, and then a couple, 2-3 days of cardio on top of that. And that cardio is both zone 2 and high intensity cardio, depending on the day. Right. So that's how I do it. That's how I fit it in every week. That's a real life example. It's exactly my day, and that's my week on repeat, week after week. I don't usually deviate from that schedule. It works for me. And like I said, is that the only way to do it? No. Is that the schedule you need to follow? No, not at all. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone is going to have different requirements on them, etc. Kids are at different ages, different stages, all that fun stuff. But right now, for me, that's what works. And that's how I get into all my steps every week, and that's how I get in my strength training workouts, and that's how I do my cardio every week. But no matter how you do it, when you do it, etc., I don't think that you can get away without being intentional in planning it out. And look at my schedule every week and I say, okay, here are my requirements, my responsibilities, the time I have to do things, and this is where I'm going to fit and stop. Some weeks are different than others, right? Like today, for example, my son had a reading breakfast where the parents go in and kids read to them. And so I was delayed getting to work by an hour because I went to that in the morning. It kind of throws off my quote unquote walking schedule throughout the day, but I'll figure it out. What I did to compensate for this in this situation is I dropped him off in the morning at school. He was in school at 7:30. The reading thing didn't start till 8. So what did I do with the extra half an hour? I didn't sit and scroll on my phone. I went for a walk. I walked for half an hour. You have to be intentional. You have to be thinking about where you can fit these things in. You have to look for opportunities to get in physical activity and movement. And then I also realize, especially parents, that there's some things, sometimes it's just not going to happen, right? I'm working with a client right now. Their child's having a little bit of sleep issues, and they're just not able to. It's more important for them to spend the extra time in the morning to catch up on sleep than to go to the gym and sacrifice sleep. So right now, they're just getting their general movement in, their steps, that type of thing. But we said, don't worry about the workouts, because if you're not sleeping at night for a long stretch of time, then it's more important to focus on getting that few extra hours of sleep in the morning while you can, because sleep is stripped that night. Those weeks are going to be there. That's going to happen. It's a fact of life. It's okay. So the other thing is to be okay with not reaching perfection. Nothing about this stage of life where you're a parent and working a full-time job is easy or consistent, right? It's always ever evolving and always ever changing, because life is always ever evolving and ever changing. And so sometimes you can be consistent, be perfect, and other times you're not going to be. And you have to learn to be okay with that and realize that you're in this for the long game, the long term, in that a week, 2 weeks with less than ideal exercise and movement is not going to make or break you, 30 years down the line. Oh, the key is that, when you can, and when life calms down a little bit, that you actually return back to the routine that you should be doing. That's where I think a lot of people get stuck, is because something happens, they get thrown off their routine, and they never get back to it. And that's where I think coaching can help, having someone to keep you really accountable and responsible. And so if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I'll throw a pitch in here. I do have a couple of spots open. We can work together to find your ideal routine for your circumstances and your lifestyle, whether you're a parent for the full-time job or you're retired and just trying to be healthy. I work with all types of clients. It doesn't really matter to me. But I do have a couple spots open if you want or you're interested in coaching. You can reach out to me directly, or you can go to our website at rjbhealth.coach. Click on the schedule a discovery call button. We can jump on a Zoom call and talk more about that. Also, if you're interested in keeping up with all the content that I put out on a weekly basis, you can also go to my website and sign up for the newsletter. And we'll email you everything that I put out. And there's a newsletter link right at the top of the webpage. Again, rjbhealth.coach. Click on that newsletter link, enter your email address, and be signed up for the newsletter. With that, I hope you guys found this content useful. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts, or want to know more detail about my own personal routine, you can drop a comment below. And if that, I'll talk to you all next week.